Parris Island history. Deerskin trade. A lot of money was made with deerskin. The middlemen were the Yamasee Indians. The Yamasee Indians had about 10 villages around Parris Island area. They hunted the deerskin and traded with other Indian tribes. The primary economy in South Carolina for many years was deerskin. They were purchased for leather pants, leather briefs, leather coats, and leather goods. The Yamasee Indians feared that they would be put into slavery. They rose up in 1720. This was the beginning of one of the longest Indian wars in the United States. It was primarily over in 1720, but it went on until 1730. The Yamasee Indians were eventually driven back to Florida. This allowed settlers from England to settle in Georgia and South Carolina. This was the beginning of the rice industry. They could not grow rice on Parris Island, but they could grow indigo. Indigo is a kind of resilient plant. You pick the leaves and the stems and boil them down. It's a nasty concoction. You produce blocks and then put it in water to make dye for clothing. They were shipped to England and turned into dye. This is a labor-intensive job. This caused the plantation owners to bring in many slaves from Africa. Parris Island, Ladies Island, and St. Helena Island were the cash crop was indigo. Slaves inhaled the fumes from the indigo and ruined their lungs. Indigo was more profitable than rice. When the American Revolution came, the indigo industry was ended because the revolutionary fighting devastated the area. Patriots drove the Loyalists to St. Augustine and to the Bahamas. While the Loyalists were in the Bahamas, they discovered a crop they believed could be grown in Sea Island. They let their cousins know about something called Sea Island cotton. Sea Island cotton is the type of cotton that produces long threads. This long staple cotton produce long threads that can be turned into a linen-like material that was shipped primarily overseas to be turned into clothing for the upper class of France and Great Britain. The people became very wealthy. It also is a labor-intensive property. It opened up the slave trade and brought in many more African slaves. You can't use the cotton gin on Sea Island cotton. It breaks down the threads. It brought in so much money it was worth having slaves pick the cotton out by hand. Parris Island was a gigantic slave plantation. The plantation worked about 300 slaves. All of this changed during the Civil War. The United States government came into the harbor in 1861 and took over the Sea Islands, and the vast majority of plantation owners left the area, leaving the islands to the slaves. The government came in and hired the slaves to continue the work on the plantation. They brought down government supervisors and hired the slaves to grow cotton to be sold for the war effort. The slaves made money off the cotton they grew, and they established schools, businesses, and churches. In 1862, this was considered the beginning of Reconstruction.